Hi everybody, Jennifer Schaus coming to you live today from Washington, DC, and thanks for joining us in our Webinar Wednesday series. Every Wednesday at 12 Eastern, we're covering the top 40 profiles of the U.S. federal government contractors. The series is complimentary and recorded. You can find the recordings on our website and also on our YouTube channel, usually within 24 hours, if not sooner. And if you're looking just for the PowerPoint, you can find those over on the slideshare.net site. You can use your LinkedIn credentials to log in to SlideShare. Just a quick blurb about us. We are based in downtown DC and work, with established government contractors, primarily on market analysis reports, as well as contract vehicles, primarily the GSA schedule. We've got events, webinars, and conferences that we put on throughout the year as well. You can find more information about our services on our website. In the event that you're selling to federal government contractors, we have advertising options available in our newsletter in this webinar series. You can also put on a webinar with us, and we can also post to LinkedIn on your behalf to our followers. If you want more information, just shoot us an email and we'll send you our media kit. And we are actually running some specials currently. Some upcoming events and webinars in the near and not so near future. As far out as February of 2024, we're putting on a class with our friends over at the Virginia PTAC. Also at the end of the summer, the same exact class. So it's the Marketing 101. For federal contractors. You can use the Virginia PTAC link to sign up. You can also find these links on our website under the event section. And the event that you're interested in GSA schedules, we've got 2 classes coming up. These, again, are also the same exact classes coming up in about 2 weeks on Thursday, June 15th. And then again, the same class on Thursday, September 14th. I believe all of these classes, I think, start at 10 a.m. and they run for 2 hours. They do include questions and answers. Coming up in about 2 weeks, or I'm sorry, about 9 days or so, 10 days, we are putting on a webinar with MyGovWatch, and they will be focusing on finding federal opportunities and ensuring that you are navigating through sam.gov correctly, because 38% of NAICS codes, as you can see here, are assigned incorrectly. So you want to make sure that you're not missing any opportunities and that the opportunities that you're looking at are in fact geared towards what it is your company does. It's a complimentary webinar. It'll run about 30 minutes, and I think we are taking Q&A for that. So I hope you can join us. That link is also found on our website under the event section. Our next networking event, where we will have roughly 200 to 300 federal contractors, will be on Monday, July 17th. It's over at the Kennedy Center. It's on the terrace level. And we hope that you'll join us. We've got confirmed from the government, the SBA, DOD, the VA, and Department of Education. Our corporate sponsors include Federal Compass, GovForce, BidSpeed, and Sahori Insurance. That registration link is on our website, which is jenniferschaus.com under the event section. And now we want to thank today's sponsors. First, we would like to thank our friends over at GovEvents. They are the premier platform for posting events related to government and government contracting. You can find all of our webinars and our events on govevents.com, as well as our recordings from past webinars. We have over 600 webinars. I think today is our 616th. We also want to thank Tom Johnson and his team at Set Aside Alert. They are the go-to publication for contracting opportunities for small, women-owned, veteran-owned, hub-zone, and 8A firms. Visit setasidealert.com for more information. The Fairfax County Economic Development Authority has an online calendar of events and webinars, and we want to thank them for posting our events and webinars on their calendar. Okay, the GovSpend FedMine platform enables data in our webinar series this year, and they have provided data for us for the last several years as well. They integrate data from 18 federal data sources and sets and create a single database that places key data points at your fingertips. The platform provides contract opportunities within federal, state, local, and education organizations. We want to thank, again, GovSpend and FedMind for providing the data in the webinar series this year and previous years. The Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce has their Government Contracting Council meeting the last Tuesday of every month. Coming up, it will be on Tuesday, June 27th. The registration link, I believe, should be on their website. If you have questions or you want the Zoom link, you can email Alicia Field. Her email address is listed there at the bottom of your screen. The Virginia PTAC Procurement Technical Assistance Center at George Mason University offers free one-on-one counseling to established government contracting firms in Virginia on federal, state, and local procurement topics. If you're interested in learning more, please use the links provided to explore services, review homework recommendations. You can register for live trainings, including the classes that we mentioned earlier. Online resources and group trainings are free with no restriction on business location. They also offer one-on-one counseling, but that is limited to eligible client companies. BidSpeed, do you want help winning government contracts? BidSpeed helps and you win. Find opportunities from federal, state, and local sources in the US. They can help you find teaming partners, incumbent point of contact, expiring contracts, and provide you with compliance matrix and proposal templates. BidSpeed is an official partner of the SBA's 7J Management and Technical Assistance Program. If you want more information, get started at bidspeed.com. The Federal Business Council events are the ultimate engagement channel to bring government and industry together. 68% of government personnel report that they attend more than one event each year. FBC has worked with government and industry for 45 plus years to create gatherings where ideas are shared and to help government achieve its goals. This includes agency industry days, cybersecurity symposiums, tech expos, and offsite meetings. FBC provides full lifecycle meeting planning and event management. With over 5,000 meetings under their belt, FBC has the experience, systems, and personnel to make your next event exceptional. Learn more at fbcinc.com. Gov events. Are you looking for relevant government events where you can connect with the community? Sign up for your free membership on govevents.com to find the latest events that matter to you near you. Conferences, trade shows, virtual events, webinars, and networking opportunities are available at your fingertips. Plus, explore upcoming sponsorship opportunities. You can even access on-demand events so you can stay on top of the latest trends and best practices in the industry. And you can post your own events for free to further expand your reach. All of this and more with your free Gov Events membership. Okay. And we will move on here to a little bit about the series and the schedule. And again, as a reminder, today's webinar is complimentary and recorded. You can find the recording on our website, or you can subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, and you'll get alerts anytime any webinars are uploaded to the channel. If you're looking for the PowerPoint, you can hop over to slideshare.net, log in with your LinkedIn credentials. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can download any of our 600 plus PowerPoints. Here's where we are in the schedule. As we mentioned, we're running through the top 40 federal contractors. Everything in red is what's been completed. Today we are covering Amentum services. Again, everything in red has been completed. You can get those recordings on the YouTube channel as well as our website. The series will run through November 15th, Wednesday, November 15th. And you can sign up for all of these simply using the navigating to the section of our website called Top 40. It's highlighted there at the top of your screen. The only week that we will skip is 4th of July, but otherwise everything will be every Wednesday again through November 15th. Okay, we're assuming that most people are tuning into the series because they are interested in working with these large businesses in a subcontracting role. If that's the case, you want to make yourself familiar with the FAR and the DFARs. The FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which is the rules that the government must follow when they are awarding contracts. And the DFARs is for the nuances within defense contracting for the same thing. We've covered every single part of the FAR back in 2020. There's a link to the subcontracting policies and procedures for the FAR, and then here it is for the DFARS. Again, those are both links to our YouTube channel. Those are both complimentary or free webinars. We've also kicked off our series in the beginning of 2023 with subcontracting with the primes. There were 6 sessions ranging from market research all the way through to post-award compliance. You can find that on the YouTube link listed there. We've also in 2022, I think it was, we covered subcontracting within all 15 federal departments. That link is listed on the screen. And we have more tactical and strategic topics on subcontracting, again, listed there at the bottom of your screen. So some best practices, as far as subcontracting, you want to focus on what you do and do well. What is it that you are bringing to the table? What makes your business valuable to the government or to primes or to just teaming partners? When you are looking for solicitations, even RFIs or sources sought, where is it that you are going to shine? Whether it's by having a lower price or a relationship within the department or agency, some sort of superior skill set or capability. What is it that is making your business unique and stand out? Focus on that and be laser focused on that. Don't try to be everything to everybody. You also want to identify potential companies that you can work with that would be providing a strategic, where you're providing a strategic value. So using all of the databases that are out there, the complimentary public websites, or many of the paid data aggregators that are out there, including some of our sponsors and data providers for today's session. Once you've identified the opportunities and you've got a few potential partners in mind, just use your time wisely to kind of do some R&D. Research the solicitation, who are the incumbents, who are the competitors. Look at the companies that you potentially want to partner with. Where are they involved? What associations do they belong to? What events are they exhibiting at? What are they attending? Look, basically just sleuth them as much as you possibly can. And then you start customizing all of your marketing materials for them, for the opportunity. So you should have your bland kind of vanilla capability statement, which gives a general overview about your business. But if you're going to talk to a potential partner, that capability statement should be customized. And then once you have all of this in place, then it makes sense to go onto their website and register as a small business vendor. Because once you contact them, the first thing they will ask you is, have you registered on our website? But again, make sure you've done the homework, because the worst thing to do is register on their website when you haven't done research on their pricing or their capabilities, only to find that their prices that they will dictate to you as a subcontractor are more or less half of what your current prices are. That's going to put you out of business. It would serve you better to go direct than to the government, or to find another partner whose prices perhaps are a little bit higher. That's just one example. You also want to make sure that you are identifying the right people within the company, the program managers who are overseeing the programs that you are interested in participating in, because you bring a specific value or skill set to that program. The SBLOs, the small business liaison officers, are the people within those companies whose job it is, whose main function is to find small business partners and direct them to the right people within the company. They are not there to do your homework, so make sure that you have researched the opportunities before you contact the SBLOs. Okay, now today we're focused on Amentum Services, fairly new-ish company. And we'll talk about their history a little bit later in the session. But some basic info: they are a privately held company formed from some mergers, acquisitions, as well as private equity. So you've got the link to their website there where you can learn more about their history. If you are a small business and want to do business with Amentum because you're bringing something unique or dynamic to the table, we would encourage you to use these links to register on their website as a small business. Again, you can get these slides on slideshare.net and get all of these live links there. Okay, the SAM.gov profile is listed here. There's no parent company. This is the main company, but as you can see, there were some mergers and acquisitions that created Amentum, and we'll talk about those actually later in the presentation. But the main ones to focus on here are AECOM, DynCorp, I think URS, and PAE. So let's just continue on, focused here on Amentum. They're in the defense and space manufacturing, based in Maryland. They actually have about 50,000 employees. It looks here like maybe 26,000 are on LinkedIn. You've got your SBLO, Rochelle Lowe. She's based in San Diego. She could have been perhaps part of a company that they acquired, maybe PAE back in the day. And then Debbie Newberry as well, who's down in Fort Worth. Again, do not contact the SBLOs unless you have a specific solicitation. They are not there to do your homework. Okay, let's look at their contracts on the civilian side, then we'll look at defense and then the independent agencies. If we're looking at civilian, which is what's displayed here on the screen, we can see at the top here is Treasury, which they go from, again, keep in mind that Amentum was formed in 2020, so anything that we see here for 2019 could have been, or even 2020, are going to be contracts that that were novated as part of the mergers and acquisitions. So they go from 4,000 in Treasury contracts in 2020 to over 9 million, almost 10 million in 2021. Again, that could have been a competitive bid. It could have been part of the M&A activity. From there, as we go across, jumping from 9 million to 48 million is quite a leap. Again, this is probably due to some of the merger M&A activity and previous contracts. 2023 looks like it's off to a strong start. We're more than halfway through the fiscal year. These numbers are actuals and the data was pulled at the end of last week. If we look at DHS, they go from, again, keep in mind the company was not formed until 2020, so what you're seeing in 2019 is the result of the services or the divisions of companies that were purchased to form Amentum. So they go from 1.5 in 2020 down to 57,000. That's quite a drop. That could have been a contract in 2020 that was expiring, that was acquired, and then it was the end of a contract that maybe came up for recompete where Amentum did not win. There, you can make some assumptions here, but it would behoove you to dig a little bit deeper if in fact you are plugged in at DHS and want to work with Amentum in that capacity within DHS. So do some homework. This is just pointing you in the right direction to do your homework. If we look at state, pretty steady until we get to the negative in 2023. So again, this is again going to require additional homework. Not much really happening at Interior, but the way things look here at 2,500 in 2023, that could jump significantly before the end of the fiscal year, and it will be interesting to see the trajectory of this company for the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 fiscal years out. If we look at the totals, 2022 is their big year here. based on the activity that we see at Treasury as well as DHS. So they go from 10.5 million on the total side in 2021 all the way up to 76 million. The current fiscal year is looking healthy as well, so it looks like overall their civilian business is healthy and probably growing. Now, when we look at the defense side, they've got some very strong numbers there too. Again, a lot of this is M&A activity, and keep in mind fiscal year 2023 is usually delayed by 3 months, so that's a little bit, we'll say the numbers haven't caught up as they did on the civilian side. If we're looking at the Army, which is the top line, they go from 11 million to 38 million. Again, this is probably due to the onset of the business, and the kind of the backwards numbers in 2019 are from the various companies that we looked at on that earlier slide. If we look at the Air Force, they go from 62 million in 2020 to a whopping 200 million, and then almost double again to 388 million, and they're now at a healthy close to 160. So, and things look pretty similar in some of these other departments. So if you look at the Navy, they go from 128 million to 282 million, so more than double. A nice leap then to 294, so some growth, but then down to 73. This again is delayed reporting, and who knows what's going to happen at the end of the fiscal year here for these guys. DLA sees a huge jump as well in 2022, going from 18 million to 43 million. DoD headquarters also almost doubles, going from 6 million to 11 million, and current fiscal year at 9.3, so that's looking healthy. If we look at just the totals, also some significant jumps from 30 million, again, before the company was even formed, to kind of starting off strong at 254 million, almost tripling to 867 million to 1.3 billion. And it looks like 2023, if we're just looking at totals, looks pretty healthy. And what we did was, these are just the top 5. This is, again, Amentum's defense contracts. Now we're going to flip over to the independent agencies, where NASA and GSA come in as the strong leaders. The totals here are not anything, well, the most significant thing is to see that in 2020 they go from 23 million up to 146 million, so that's quite a leap. And then they're fairly steady there in 2022. Current fiscal year remains to be seen, but I'd bet that they probably come in close to their 2022 numbers. Again, not sure how their contracts are breaking out as far as the fourth quarter, but there could be some decent upside there for them. Okay, now we're going to look at their top 5 NAICS codes, and they're spread out. At least the top 3 are pretty healthy, which is a good sign of, we'll say, diversity here, but they're not just pigeonholed into facility support services or just in engineering. Their services are spread out, again, based on the businesses that they acquired. For facilities, they peak in fiscal year 18, and again, keep in mind, the numbers here, again, I've said it probably 101 times now that the business did not really start until 2020. So we're really looking at the purple going forward, which should be looking at the purple, then everything to the right of that. The orange and everything to the left is going to be previous fiscal years. But still important to keep note of that and know where they came from, and if these businesses that they purchase, that, you know, is there really upside there? Is there growth and potential for those various sectors? For engineering services, again, kind of steady, a little bit of a drop in 2021, but where we're seeing most growth, I think, is the center there for other support activities for air transportation. A great, each of those years from 2020 forward, so the purple, the red, the yellow, and the green are all showing growth. A little bit of decline there in aircraft manufacturing, a little bit of growth there on the far right on general warehouse and storage, warehousing and storage. Here are the actual numbers. And again, you can see that there were some big gains again in fiscal year 2022, which appears to be their strongest year. We'll see what happens with 2023. But these are some overall numbers to look at. And if your services complement Amentum in any of these NAICS codes, I would encourage you to dig deeper, and even going back to these previous fiscal years to find out what was happening with these other companies, what contracts are in play, if anything came up for recompete and was won, and did Amentum basically fold those into the acquisition with those business activities. Okay, on the subcontracting side, these are contracts for anything that's non-construction valued at $750,000 or above requires a subcontracting agreement. So the civilian side, basically the same as civilian agencies as we looked at before, so Treasury, DHS, and state. Again, if you've got a relationship at Treasury and you have one of their main NAICS codes, and maybe you've got another contract there, these would be reasons to contact Amentum. And again, once you've done all this homework and you have all the data, you can customize your capability statement for these activities. Again, it would behoove you to dig a little bit deeper, but as you can see, the numbers, if we're looking just at the sector totals, are currently growing. Civilian is not their main focus. They go from 1.5 to 10 million, which is huge, 10 to 75 million, and now already at 127 million. Great numbers, great growth, but most of their work is on the defense side. So you could take the approach of trying to work with them on the civilian side because everybody is probably flocking to them for defense contracts. Speaking of defense, now we'll look at the subcontracting, the sub-K requirements that they have on the defense side. And these are going to mirror the slides that we looked at earlier. So again, Air Force at the top, Navy, Army, DLA, and DoD headquarters, where their totals look pretty good, and there's growth going from sector totals. They're at the bottom in the gray, 30 million to 225, 578, 771. And fiscal year 2023 is at 567 million, which I'm going to guess by the end of the fiscal year that those numbers will probably surpass their 2022 numbers. On the independent side, again, it's NASA and GSA, so no surprises there. So I would bump these numbers up against the totals that we looked at to find out, are the majority of their contracts over $750,000? And then if so, find those opportunities to dig a little further. They've got growth here as well. If we're looking at the sector totals at the bottom, 25 million up to 146. Down to 142, not a drastic drop, but it will. And 2023 is looking, but they could potentially get there again if the large majority of their contracts are awarded in Q4. That's an if. Okay. Now, if we look at the actual subcontracts awarded, Air Force, again, if we look at the top three, these are DoD, so Air Force, Army, and DLA. No surprise there, simply because the bulk of their work, multi-millions, are in defense contracts. We still have a footprint there for NASA, GSA, Homeland Security, and these are not numbers to sneeze at. So there's, I think, plenty of opportunity for subcontractors to work with Amentum. Now, when we break out the subcontracts by industry, facility support services, R&D, and then the air transportation support activities. So this should be no surprise, as this more or less mirrors, or you can make some deductions. So you could probably deduct that a lot of the facility support services contracts, subcontracts, are with the Air Force, because those both had the NAICS code, as well as Air Force both had the propensity of the dollars and the contracts. So if that's the industry that you're in, I would say start doing a lot of homework, dig into the actual contracts, contract vehicles, where is it that you can add value, what is it that you are bringing to the table for these guys. There's still money at the bottom there in testing laboratories and computer facilities management services. They have more than 10 industry codes. These are just the top 10. And sometimes it can be in your benefit to go where everybody else is not going. Okay, and the subcontracts awarded by Amentum. And these are the main companies that they are awarding contracts to, including SAIC, as well as Oklahoma State University. So they do work with universities and they do work with large businesses. These are just the top 10, and there's nothing wrong with being a tier 2 or 3 subcontractor. Your margins will be smaller than being a the primary tier 1 subcontractor, but there are still additional flow down dollars. Keep in mind that you'll still be subjected to FAR flow down clauses. These are the top 5. Again, there's going to be more than 5 subcontracts reported. The column to focus on here, or the 2 columns, will be the amount on the far right, and then the 4th column from the right, the sub award contractor. And you've got some companies listed there. The main one that pops up is this Disaster Management Group, LLC. So I would dig a little further into them. But a lot of this is coming from URS, which is one of the companies that was acquired by Amentum Services. The top 5, and there are going to be more than 5 GWACs that Amentum holds, but the top 5 are going to be Seaport E, which is part of the Navy. They cover 22 various functional areas that are listed there. They're also in the DoD IAC MAC Pool 1, which is the Information Analysis Center. And that was awarded back in 2018. I'm just going down the list here. The RS3, this is for reconnaissance and surveillance missions, DoD contract through the Army. Seaport E, Next Generation, that's obviously Navy. That's the next iteration of Seaport E. Oasis, which is a GSA contract vehicle. It's unrestricted, meaning the business size does not matter. GSA has some multiple award contracts that are segmented for small businesses. This one is unrestricted. And then they're on the Army Strategic Services Solutions for equipment-related services. Again, these are just the top 5, or actually top 6, sorry, contract vehicles, and there's probably a couple more. So again, these contract vehicles are spelled out. And it looks like for some of these, dollars are primarily decreasing as we kind of look left to right, except for the IAC MAC pool. And it's also important to note the inception date of these contract vehicles. They may be sunsetting. And so the contract vehicles are really just a vendor shortlist, and there's competition within those. So Amentum is not the only schedule holder. They are competing with other companies who are also awarded these government-wide acquisition contracts. Again, it's a vendor shortlist that you have to meet certain requirements just to be listed, and then the competition occurs at the task order level. Here's the actual numbers broken out. 2023 obviously is incomplete, but take a look at those numbers. Again, I would dig into the actual task orders to find out what's happening within those contract vehicles, and maybe you hold one of these vehicles as well, where that can be kind of a selling point to the company. If that's the case, I would dig in a little bit further to find out what labor categories they're awarded, the prices, to make sure that that it's going to be in your best interest in a profitable relationship. Things that are coming up for contracts coming up for expiration, valued at 750 and above, which is the sub-K threshold. The column that I like the most here, the two, would be the total sales as well as the number of transactions. So for example, on the very last line, you've only had 7 transactions going into 31 million versus the second line, 367 transactions broken into $161 million. So you're going to have more competition on that second row versus the very last line, where you're going to have much larger contracts but fewer contracts there at the 31 million. What I would encourage you to do is copy and paste the contract number, go over to sam.gov and dig a little further to find out what's happening and is there opportunity for your company to compete. Some conclusions, a little bit of information here. John Heller is the CEO, and just a little bit about him. He came from PAE, had been with them since December of 2013. But he's got a strong history in government contracting, including Harris and Multimax and Netco. Okay, a little bit about Amentum. So as I mentioned, they were formed in 2020, and the way that the company was formed, it was through AECOM, who still exists. AECOM is a publicly traded company, but their management services, which was really their federal group, which was really what formed Amentum, and that became a holding company. And AECOM, if we just look at AECOM, they acquired URS, EG&G, the other companies listed there in that second box there at the bottom. And then Amentum acquired DynCorp and PAE in 2022. So if you look for any of those companies, they do not exist anymore. They are now part of Amentum. But the big player is really AECOM and the private equity firm. Here's a headline. The first one on the left-hand side is old, but we thought it was important to kind of go back and take a look at that article. So just it really discusses the new company Amentum, again, which was formed through AECOM's Management Services, which was their federal group. Just recently, bottom box here, Louis German was appointed the CIO. I think that happened in the last, I'm going to say at least 30 days, if not sooner. And then they've got some Army work. No surprise, we saw obviously a lot of contracts there at Army and Air Force. So they obviously have a strong DoD presence. Here's some other headlines, which again, this would be helpful. These would be helpful if you were planning on working with them, to read up on the work that they're doing. Who are the main players? Who are their C-level execs? We've given you 2 of them. Dig into their history, find out the genesis of these contracts. Click on these links, sign up for Google Alerts so that anytime they are in the news, you are getting alerts about them. So as mentioned, they're privately held. AECOM, again, still exists, and AECOM is still a publicly traded company. However, Amentum is privately held. They've got roughly 50,000 employees and focused on defense contracts and engineering. They've got a strong use of contract vehicles, perhaps from the businesses that were purchased. And just a little headline that they posted on their LinkedIn business page just within the last 24 hours of today, that they won a $250 million engineering contract for Navy systems. So again, those are also important to follow so that you're staying abreast of what's happening in the company so that you can have intelligent conversations with not only the SBLOs to prove that you're worthy of getting an intro to the program manager, but to be able to speak, again, intelligently about contracts and other work that they're doing with government entities. That's all that we've got for today for Amentum. I would definitely keep an eye on these guys. They are a very large business. They're second behind Leidos in government contracting services. So there's plenty there. Don't shy away from the fact that the business started in 2020 because the business was started as a result of mergers and acquisitions. So they're very strong. Again, if you're looking for today's recording, it's on our website. It's also on our YouTube channel. This is our webinar number 616. If you're looking for the PowerPoint, it's over on SlideShare. That'll get you all the links. Here's where we are. Next week, we are covering consolidated nuclear security. A couple other names here that you guys may recognize. We closed the season November 15th with GlaxoSmithKline. We skipped the week of July 4th. All of these, you can register for all of these on our website under the section called Top 40. It's listed there at the top of your screen. It's highlighted in yellow. And please join us again on Monday, July 17th. There will be 200 to 300 federal government contractors. And the registration link for that is listed on the bottom of the screen. It's also on our website under the event section. Again, thanks for joining us, and our recording should be up within 24 hours. Thank you.